Hello, students. Today, again, we will continue with the chapter Body Movements, in which, in today's class, I will discuss about the joints. Like you had heard this word joint number of times. Now we will discuss now what is the joint and what are the types of the joints, and some of the joints we will discuss today. The rest we will discuss in the next class. So, a joint name itself suggests it is the structure which is present in between the two different bones. That means the portion which helps us to bend or to move our body parts, they can be possible with the help of the a particular place, that is the place where two or more bones join together, and this particular place where two or bones join or meet together is known as the joints. Say you can take the example, that is we can bend our arms at the elbow because the bones of the upper arm and the lower arm are forming the joint. That means, see, in the entire, if you consider the entire arm, it is composed of two, like three different regions: the upper arm, the lower arm, and the hand portion. So the upper arm and lower arm, where the upper arm ends and lower arm starts, in between the juncture there is a joining portion which is called the joint or the elbow. And if you can consider, or if you can think it in a very concentrated manner, you will be able to learn that is the upper arm portion, that is the portion above the elbow and the portion below the elbow are not being able to move. We cannot move the upper arm or the lower arm, but we can move the elbow, that is the joint which is present in between both the bones. So the amount of movement is also depends upon the type of joint, like it is what type of joint, in which direction it is moving. All these are so much dependent, or all these so much determine how much or how far the hand can be moved, or any portion of the body can be moved. So, for example, we can move our head, arm, hand, leg, feet, because why can we move all these body parts? Because of the reason that these are containing joints or the bone joints. Now, within which the elbow, shoulder, and hip joints are known as the freely movable joint. That means we can move them freely. That is, the end of the bones forming the joint are held in by a strong connective tissue which is called as the ligaments. So what is the ligament? It is connecting part, or it is connecting the bones forming the joint and prevent the bones from falling apart during movement. Like we are moving with the help of the bone. Now it can happen that one bone can fall apart. This falling apart is being protected by the ligament. Ligament holds the bone in a strong manner. The end of the bones at the joint are covered with a soft and smooth layer of cartilage. That is, end of the bones where it is meeting the joints, or it is the that portion, it is being covered by a smooth cartilage. So the layer of the cartilage which is present, which is allowing the ends of the bones to move over each other, and so the bones cannot be damaged due to wear and tear or rubbing with each other. Okay, so this entire work, this entire machinery is being, the machinery or the movement, the pattern of moving or the movement is entirely controlled by the joint. Now, there are generally four types of joints you will learn in this class, amongst which two types of joint we will discuss in today's class, and in the next class we will discuss the rest too. So, first one is the hinge joint. That is the joint which allows the movement of the bones in only one direction. You, all of you, look at your elbow. The elbow can be moved in only one direction, forward and backward. Even if you try, the elbow cannot be moved in all the direction. Even you can see the knees, the knuckles, the jaws, they are only can be moved in one direction, forward and backward. That means in all over the direction they cannot be moved. So these are the examples of the hinge joint. Now we are coming into the elbow joint. Now, at the elbow, the upper arm bone forms a hinge joint with the lower arm bone. Elbow part you consider, which is in the in between the upper arm bone and the lower arm bone, and the upper arm bone are connecting with the lower arm bone with the help of the elbow joint. So the lower end of the upper arm bone is in the shape of a knob, and the upper end of the lower arm bone is in the shape of a cup. So what is happening? The lower end of the upper arm bone's lower end, this is the shape of a knob, and the upper end of the lower arm bone is in the shape of a cup. So the knob of the upper arm bone fits into the cup of the lower arm bone to form a hinge joint. In the picture also you can see the picture, that is the lower part of the upper arm bone is knob shaped, and upper part of the lower arm bone is cup shaped, just above the ulna you can see in the picture. So these cups and knob and the knobs are fitting into the cups, forming the hinge joint or the elbow. And in this case, the ligament holds the upper arm bone and lower arm bone together in the elbow joint. Here is another example, that is the knee joint. Even you can try, you can see the knee also can be moved forward and backward, not in four directions or all directions. So it is a hinge joint because we cannot move in all the direction. So what happens at the knee? The lower end of the upper leg bone or the thigh bone in the form of a knob, as we had seen in case of the upper arm, that is the lower end of the upper arm is in the knob shape, or the last end of the humerus is in the knob shape. Similarly, the last end of the thigh bone is also in the knob shape, and the upper end of the lower leg bone is in the cup shape. So the knob of the upper leg bone fits into the cup of the lower leg bone to form a hinge joint. The ligaments hold the upper leg bone and lower leg bones together at the knee joint. Okay, so ligament here is the same thing, doing the same function as that of the upper hand, that is they are holding the upper leg bone and the lower leg bones together at the knee joint. So in this picture also we had seen the upper hand or the elbow joint and the leg or the knee joint are the examples of hinge joint. So the joints between the bones of our fingers allow only a hinge like movement. even you can consider the fingers also. So they are also the hinge joints. The lower joint also forms a hinge joint with the fixed bone of the skull. This is also another example. Next, we are going into the pivot joint. In a pivot joint, a cylindrical bone turns in a ring which is known as the type bone. The pivot joints allows rotation around an axis and exists between the skull and neck. And also, the pivot joint allows our head to bend up and down, turn side to side. So, this is the movement pattern, that is the joint which is between the skull and the neck. And this, through this portion only, we can move up and down and side to side. Another example of the pivot joint occurs in the forearm or lower arm near the elbow. The elbow, that means the part, the forearm basically has two bones, radius and ulna. So the pivot joint makes the radius and ulna bones to twist around each other and makes us turn our forearm to hold the palm of hand up or down. So the bones nearing radius and ulna contains the pivot joint. Similarly, the bones, we had already seen that in elbow we have a hinge joint where the upper arm are meeting the lower arm. In between there is a elbow that is attached by hinge joint. But the pivot joint is making, or it is present where it is making the radius and ulna. Radius and ulna are the two bones which are present in the lower arm bone, which to twist around each other and make us turn our forearm to hold the palm of hand up or down. The palm of our hand to up and down, and this movement is done by or facilitated by the pivot joint. So here we had discussed about what are the joints and two special joint, that is the hinge joint and the pivot joint. Next class we will discuss another two types of joints. Till then, please all of